Hey, what's up? My name is Hardway, welcome back. Today I'm explaining Paradigm. Yeah, let's get right into it. I started this track in Hong Kong in a hotel, and it started with the melody, which is like basically an ARP. I did it with Synthesizer. I'm going to show you right now. Here we go. There's like an ARP where the last notes of each ARP change. That makes kind of a little bit of a melody, which is kind of cool. And the cool thing about this instrument is that, as you heard when I started it, you only heard the white noise, like this. Because it's built up of two layers. One is the white noise and the other one is the synth. Sounds like without any effects on it. So together that white noise creates a really cool effect. And what I do in the build-up is I change the cutoff filter, and then you get a really cool. You get a really cool effect. And talking about effects, I have some on here. I use Kickstart for the sidechain. Valhalla Room for reverb. This one I don't use right now, it's like turned off. But I use the mix in an automation clip to use it for changeovers. So that's cool. Fab filter, I use this for a low pass filter. So I can use it that way. Free filter, this is my low pass filter. Another reverb, this is the basic reverb. Some EQ to give a little bit more high frequency to it and more reverb. And more EQ because there was something bothering me in this spectrum of the frequencies, so. Yeah, on these speakers you can hear the difference quite well, so I don't know how you can hear it at home. So I added another layer. These are all the last notes I was talking about before, and this is a cool sound. This is Synthesizer as well. No effects on this one, it's just like the default preset, and it sounds a little bit distorted, which is cool, and there's a delay on it, so you hear it echoing around. Especially in the build-up, you can hear that sound really well. Then I layered that sound. I love this sound, Diva. Great plugin. I really love this sound, and also when it's filtered. And a high pass. Yeah, and a low pass filter, and another sound is this one. Also Diva. And together with the automation, what you can do in Fruity Loops is you have a filter. If I want to automate that button, I right click it, create automation clip. It will end up somewhere in the playlist like this with these lines. They're called automation clips, and you can edit them any way you want, like this. There's other videos of me explaining automation clips, so please check them out. Then we go, then you have this. And that's the whole bass through the whole track. Then I add the chords with my favorite preset. I use this a lot to make chords. And there's really not much on there except for a high pass filter, which I use in some of the parts of the track. And I just love this sound. It's just very simple. These are the chords. I automate this button. So yeah, that is added here. Then this one, it's like a string pizzicato. I don't know how you pronounce that, but that's like a pluck of the violin string, and that's also the last two notes of the arp. And that gives you more, that accentuates the, I guess that's how I say it, that accentuates the melody a bit more. So, that lead sound is really, it cuts through everything, and that makes it really cool as it builds up. Really adds a lot of energy. Then I add this one again. I don't know why. Oh, it's just the same pattern. I add a clap. So yeah, that's what you hear. An organ. Sonic Synth 2. Can't get it anymore, but I still have it. I'm really happy with it. And there's not really that much special on it. Just sidechain with kickstart, Valhalla Room reverb, and this is what I use. The filter again, Fruity Free filter and reverb. Bass. This is the basic sine preset from Nexus. Not much on there. Just in bass, basic sine. Every standard Nexus has this. But what makes the bass really warm is the next one. I use East-West Quantum Leap Orchestra, and that's a really, they sampled actual orchestral instruments, which is really cool. And yeah, I use the double basses. And I double them, it's just the bass notes, and that makes it really, really warm. And you can hear some kind of choirs. I used samples from... I only used the first part. That's where it changes notes with just a lot of reverb on it. This is the basic reverb from Fruity, and this is the preset ambience. It's just tweaked with a lot of decay, which means your reverb will last longer. Sausage fattener, I use that to give it a bit of distortion, but also to make it stand out in your mix. Although it's lower in volume, it works. Then I have a choir right here in Omnisphere. You see a MIDI out channel. This is Omnisphere, great plugin. You have 8 channels, so you can select 8 instruments and control them with different MIDI outs. So I used 3 instruments from this Omnisphere. And the cool thing is that it doesn't use as much CPU, so that you only have to load 1 Omnisphere and you can use 8 MIDI outs. Yeah, that's under there. And to change from one part to the next, I like to use sweeps and white noise. This is one that's from Cashmere. A sweep transition. And it's EQ'd like this. So I took out the low frequencies. Some delay to give it a little bit more special effect. And some white noise. Stuff like that I use in my breaks to transition stuff, and that's what I do like later on in the track. And it's basically it's small details. It's not really that interesting, but it's essential for making your track interesting. So to keep it interesting, so it's funny. Then we go to another part of the break where the melody kind of changes and there's another melody with a piano on top. So it's just a different rhythm, it's the same pattern cut up in different sections, as you can see. And there's drums. This is a Lin kick. It's a Lin drum and it's a bit filtered. And a snare. You get that kind of rolling feeling you want towards the drop. There's also, by the way, some rides in here. Some hi-hats on the kick. They came in already 8 bars before. And the melody, which you can hear here. It's a piano done with Keyscape, which is a great plugin for pianos and key instruments. There's not really much on there, so it's a sampled piano, so it sounds really good. And the Nexus string, very simple but effective. So it's like the break is kind of more of a journey. It's not like a short melody and then we go to the drop. It's like I take my time. I also have after this 16 bars of build-up. The Spotify version is a bit different, but this is the extended mix, so it's my favorite mix. I also have these, Cashmere in his packs, he has a lot of great vocal samples and I like to cut them up and I made this. It's just two or three different samples and it sounds really cool because if you hear it like this, you would say like, and by the way, it comes from, yeah, I just use different parts from different samples and I have a bunch of stuff on there. It would sound like this. There's a bunch of plugins on it. This one is pretty cool. It's one I started using more recently, Shaperbox. It's from the same company who made Kickstart by Nicky Romero. And yeah, what it does. It's this one, I use the pan. You can use other different effects. But the pan is for changing the sound from left to right according to the beat. So it's linked to the BPM and then you can say, hey, I want it to go in 4 bars left, right, or in 1 bar so it goes faster. And it just creates a really alive effect. And yeah, that's really cool. And the cool thing is about tracks like this and breaks like this, all the elements separate are really simple, but everything together works really well, and that's how I like to work. Still filtered the vocal so you don't hear it as loud, but you hear it louder. This is where we enter the build-up. It's a pretty basic build-up, but with enough energy. The kick I showed you before is still active there, and the snare is doubled now. What I I like to do with snares in the build-up is I have a low-pass filter, as you can hear, because it's filtered in the mix, and a high-pass filter that's towards the end of the build-up, towards the drop. I filter out the low frequencies, and then it creates a really build-up effect. And then when the drop drops with the bass, yeah, that's really cool. What I like to do is I like to get all the low frequencies out towards the drop, because then when the drop hits with all the bass, it really gives that extra kick. Some special things, let me check. The bass, it's already the rhythm from the drop. So that's already a drop preview, but it's here only the first two notes, so you hear. So you already get into that kind of rhythm, and you're prepared to jump or dance or, yeah. Strings for extra dramatic effect. This is a Cashmere Hoover. I love the Cashmere pack, and I just took the right key. And that's where it starts, and it just builds up with the pitch right here. Took out the low frequencies. It's stereo with a stereo enhancer, so it's more to the side of the speakers, and a filter to filter the low frequencies first. So yeah, that's a cool build-up also because of these risers. Like really heavy risers. Also like this one. And this one. Like I literally throw some risers in there and I delete the ones that don't work. I keep the ones that work. As you can see, I didn't even put them on the channel. So they're just not even mixed. And then it builds up all this tension. And we have some clock. Let me see, where are you? Oh, it's not on the channel either. It's very simple. And then a snare, which I automated the volume so it comes up a bit more nice the way I like it. And the first note of the melody, you can hear it in reverse. And the cool thing is that I explained this in some other episodes. It's very simple. It's just the first note of the drop with a lot of reverb on it, and then reversed. And towards the drop, it's a really cool effect. That's the drop. So we just had the break, then we're gonna do the drop. It's pretty straightforward. It's the melody. It's the lead layer with the cutoff open. But because of the automation, it's giving me some troubles. I don't know exactly why, but I also added this, it's like a Cashmere synth shot. It's like a xylophone almost. And it does the very last note. And you don't, if you listen very closely in the final mix, you can hear it. Here you can hear it, of course, very, very good. With reverb on it, Normally it would sound like this. Some EQ, a little bit more high frequencies, reverb, and another reverb. That's extra there. A saw is silent and it plays the melody and it just adds that extra like crispy sound underneath. It's in stereo. This is the way I EQ'd it, so it's not a lot of low frequencies, and there's a kickstart on it for sidechain. Then we have the diva melody from before is under there. I didn't use this one under there because I didn't use this one here, but I use it here, so like later in the drop it adds. And the bass is cool. It's all from Omnisphere. This is like a really deep, almost like, it sounds almost like an acoustic bass. And I filtered the, now it doesn't sound like an acoustic bass anymore. So yeah, that's under there. And then to give like the bass a really crunchy feeling. And I'm going to show you normally this would be also just a bass. But I already have my bass, so I filter out the bass frequencies. Just a little bit of the, added some middle frequencies. Pretty cool. Let's go check out the drums, because they are pretty awesome. What's cool about this, I made a new kick for it. I used the Lin kick. The Lin drum is an old drum computer which was really famous in the 80s, and I don't have a real Lin drum unfortunately, but I use a Lin kick sample. Yeah, it's iconic. And I use another kick, but I took, as you can see here, I took a little bit of the top off the kick, and then I created a new kick. So it has the punch, like the high frequencies of the Lin, but the low frequencies, because the Lin isn't very, it doesn't really have that low what I wanted, so I added another kick. Cool snares from, this one is from Cashmere. I cut off the part where you hear like the reverse snare, and I combined those two. Some claps. I took claps out of this loop. There's a hi-hat out of this pack. And there's a snare. Small little snare, which is pretty cool. It gives it a little bit of groove. And there's another little kick, which is like, also gives it a bit rhythm and groove. And it's like making this is just combining stuff and trying to get the right groove and the right sound. It's really hard to explain how I did this, because this groove has to align with the groove of the melody and like the bass and everything, so it needs to be one. That's the first part of the drop. The second part. You can hear a shaker loop, an open hi-hat, also adds to the groove. And like this, it doesn't really sound groovy, but as you add the other drums, like so. The vocal comes back. We have this Cashmere Hoover. And I really like that one here. And the cool thing is I took away all the sounds on the first kick, and that's where you only hear the also the crashes and the impacts are on the second kick, so you only hear that small kick and the Hoover. Yeah, it's just a cool little touch. Then there's a third part of the drop, which is basically the drop without the main melody and with the second melody in the break. You hear the vocal chops coming back. And here on the first kick there's this, I love this sound. It's just like a, how would you call this? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what I should name this sound. There's just a delay on it and some EQ. Normally it has a lot of low and I don't like that, so I take them out. And delay. And then you hear it really stands out in the mix. And the organ is back. So that's the drop, and we have the first break, and normally my first and second break are kind of the same, but now I made some changes to the first part where I used a really cool effect of the lead synth. In the first part you only hear the second layer of the lead sound, which is this really cool, it's like a garden hose almost. That's what I have this preset also saved as somewhere as garden hose, because it's like a, yeah, you know, it's funny. There's a string in there, which is in Contact. I use Cinematic Studio strings. It's like a big Hollywood string pack. The string plays the root note of the track, and it just makes it a little bit less empty here and a little bit more tension already. You can hear the melody building up again. And here you can hear the snare is already louder, it's already, the filter is already off. So it starts already building up a little bit. And then the build up is back. I go to the second drop, which is pretty straightforward. So yeah, that's the second break. Then we only have the intro and outro left. And there you hear the drums. Mostly it's about drums and bass. I'll show you. Here you have the sound again on the first note, which is cool. As you can hear, the extra kick is here. Not the snare, not the little snare, just that kick. And then there's bass. And it's the same bass as before, but not the extra little crunchy layer. You hear the melody coming up already with just the first note, so it stays, the whole intro stays on the root note of the track. So yeah, I guess that's the whole track. I don't think I missed anything. That's Paradigm. Thank you for watching. I hope I explained it right. I go a bit fast through some things because I already explained them in other videos, so make sure to check them as well. And if you have questions, please let me know in the comments. I will try to answer all of them. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you around the world very soon. Bye.